Hi, my name's Lucy and I'm a social worker.
What is a social worker?
A social worker can be a lot of different things. We wear a lot of different hats. Our core business is to help people improve their quality of life and their general well-being. What I do as a social worker is I'm a therapist with children and young people and their families. In my job, I get to see a lot of different families. Some who are coming from tough family sort of settings, others with school issues, others with diagnosed sort of anxiety, depression, OCD, eating disorders.
What can I expect if I see a social worker?
We start by getting to know you and building a relationship, which was the most important part of therapy. We work out together what's going on and where we can be of best assistance to help you out with things. We meet with you and your family and learn how the world around you functions. Social workers work in many different ways. We sometimes do play therapy, we sometimes do talk therapy, we do group sessions, we do family therapy. It can look different depending on the individual and what their interests are. When someone first comes to see me, I'm most interested in hearing about what brought them to me. We spend a lot of time on the why and the what that brings you to therapy and starting to build a plan on what we're going to do about it. I invite the young person to tell me about the good and the bad, to tell me what's going right and what's going wrong, and to tell me how I can help make life just a little bit happier for them. In my job, I'm lucky to work with both children and their families. We do it together, all in the same room, or sometimes separate. I spend as much time as a young person needs me one-on-one with them, and the same goes for the parents. When young people need a little bit more help than I can offer, I look for other services that can support with that. I introduce them to other people in the community. I find programs that they might be interested in.
How do I access a social worker?
To access a social work therapist, the first stop is the GP, to share with them what's going on for you and the help that you're actually looking for. From there, the GP can put together a referral to a social work therapist and a mental health care plan that'll entitle you to some free sessions. You might find a social worker in a hospital setting, you might find them even in a GP practice or in your school environment. Sometimes children and young people who come through the hospital receive a referral from the doctors inside the hospital to a social worker in the community. Getting a therapist is a little bit like shopping for a new outfit. Sometimes it doesn't fit and you need to keep shopping for another one. I often tell my young people when they come in to see me, if they feel like I'm not the best fit, then they shouldn't feel scared to sort of stand up and say something about it.
Are there common misconceptions about social workers?
Yes, there are. There are common misconceptions about social work therapists. One I often hear is, don't I need a psychologist or a psychiatrist to give me therapy? No, in fact you don't, because we are all trained in therapy modalities. And when we need psychiatrists and psychologists, we generally work pretty close to them and can ask them the questions that you're wanting us to.
How can I get the most out of my visit to a social worker?
So to make the most out of coming to see a social work therapist, we ask that you be as open as you can with us. We realise that a lot of trust goes into this relationship and we want you to feel as comfortable as possible. Before coming to see a social work therapist, I think it'd be really important to start thinking about what you're wanting to get out of it and setting some personal goals for yourself and sharing that with us when you come into session. That helps us plan together and collaborate with you so that we can work alongside you to see some pretty good outcomes. We also really love it when you ask us questions. We want you to feel as comfortable as possible in the space. We want you to get a feel for us and a sense of us before locking in for future sessions.
A final word.
Something I like to remind children and young people is that I'm not the expert in the room, and in fact they're the expert of their own lives and in their own worlds. I just am the one who helps them find the answers.